nice. All right, so my name is Mike. I'm a fish scientist over at Concordia. So after we're done with some of these activities, you guys want to tell me about the cool fish that you guys have caught, or if you like to go fishing, or just have a pet fish, I love to hear those things. So we'll have plenty of time to talk about that. Before we start though, how many of you have heard of the term invasive species?
Not right now.
Yeah? And so, because I often get this a lot, it's not the same as an endangered species, which means something that there's not many left of. So think of like a panda. So, how many of you have an idea of what an invasive species is and would try to give me an answer, what it might be? What's that? They certainly, a lot of the problems that come from invasive species become super common. So yep, you're definitely right about that. Any other ideas? All right, so an invasive species is an animal that, or a plant, and we're going to talk quite a bit about plants, an animal or a plant that was brought here from somewhere else in the world that's not supposed to be here, brought here by human beings. So the grass that you guys are sitting on is called Kentucky bluegrass, and it's actually not supposed to be here, and if we didn't always mow it, it actually causes a problem after a while, and we spend a lot of time trying to get rid of this kind of grass in other areas like prairies. How many of you ever heard of zebra mussels? Yeah? Anybody ever stepped on zebra mussels? That sucks. Yeah, that's rough. So this is a colony of zebra mussels. There's like 200 animals here. They're tiny, tiny little clams. They're originally from Europe and Asia, and they came over just like stuck on the sides of ships, and now they're all throughout Minnesota's waters. They're in the Red River, and they'll start growing over other clams. They can actually grow over boat propellers so much that they break boat propellers. And if you're swimming around and you step on this, it's like stepping on broken glass. It's awful. So this is a real colony that was forming over a stick, and we just dipped it in lucite, which is our kind of plastic, and then it preserves it forever. So if you guys want to take a look, you can. Just be careful with it because it can be a little sharp, and it's also pretty fragile. So, and then once you're done, you can just pass it on. Don't worry, it's clean. You don't have to wash your hands or anything. Another common invasive species is something that some of you might have kept before as a pet. How many of you are familiar with what this is? What is it? I like how you guys look at each other like, yes, we're in agreement. Yeah, so it is goldfish. Goldfish are actually a pretty common invasive species. What happens is you got a bowl, you got a goldfish that's getting too big, and you can't keep it anymore, so people go and dump them out in lakes. And if you do one up in the lake, that's not necessarily a big deal, but if somebody else also dumped a goldfish, all of a sudden they can start making babies. Goldfish live just fine in our winters, and pretty soon you'll have a lake that is just swarming with goldfish because there's nothing there to eat them. And this happens every year, and the DNR, the agency in Minnesota that manages our lakes, they actually have to go and put a bunch of poison into the lake to kill all the goldfish. Because if you have all those goldfish, they're always rooting around in the bottom, stirring up sediment at the bottom, and make it so plants can't live anymore. So we're gonna kind of do an exercise like that today. Where's my zebra? Okay, over there. All right, so before we start with this activity, let me ask you guys another question. I got a lot of questions. Where do we get all of our food from? Trees is a good answer. Where do plants? Animals, so plants and animals. Where do animals get their food from? Fish? Nature, yeah. All right, so some animals get their food from other animals, some animals get their food from plants. Where do plants get their food from? Water, soil, absolutely true. Think bigger though.
Earth.
Not us.
Kind of like
Earth? Go real big. What'd you say?
The sun.
The sun, exactly, yeah. So everything gets its food from the sun. Like even we as humans, we don't get our food from the sun, from light like plants do, but we eat plants or we eat animals that eat plants. So in the end, everything gets its food from the sun. So what I need are two suns that are gonna be helping to manage this big lake that we're gonna be in right here. Let's see, I need them to be like on opposite sides. So right, you and you over here. Don't worry, I'm gonna need a lot of volunteers. So if you want to volunteer, you will almost certainly get the chance to. So what I want you guys to do is pretend that this area inside the buckets is a big lake, and you guys are sitting on the shoreline, all right? And if you're inside the buckets, then you're swimming around in the lake. And if you're on the buckets right now, you're just chilling on the side of the lake itself. So my sons, what you guys have there are tubs with food bits in them. we'll just call it algae, tiny little algae cells that everything likes to eat, that green stuff in the water. And so, what I'm gonna have you guys do, and we'll do a practice round right now, is you guys are gonna be providing food for the lake. So, you two sons, you guys go ahead and turn your backs to the lake, because I don't want you guys to be looking at where you're gonna end up throwing food. Yep, and then we'll just do like 2 practice rounds here. Just go ahead and grab some of those food blocks and just try to throw them into the middle of the lake. Perfect. You too. Yeah, I love it. All right, you guys can stop. You sons, you guys know what's going on. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So when we start the activity and I say to go, you guys are just going to turn your backs and just start lobbing all that food, all right? Okay. Now we need somebody who's going to eat all those algae bits. So, what's a kind of small fish that we have? Boy, minnows, yes, exactly. We have about maybe 25 species of minnow or so in the Red River, so there's a lot. Small fish aren't always minnows, but a lot of our small fishes are indeed minnows. So, you want to be a minnow? Who else wants to be a minnow? All right, so when I say to go, the minnows, what you guys are going to do as the sun is throwing in food, as the sons are throwing in food, you guys are going to be swimming around. You can't pull it out of each other's hands, but you're just going to be picking up any food that you find on the ground, or if you happen to catch it out of the air, okay? And just be careful of running into each other. And just keep on holding in your arms until I say stop. And we'll see how much food you guys get. But we also have something called scavengers in our lakes and rivers. What's a scavenger mean? Any ideas? They can eat fish, but one specific kind of fish. Does anybody else have any? What's that? Ones that are dead. That's what scavengers eat. So scavengers like to eat dead things. And it doesn't matter if it's dead plants, dead animals. Scavengers just like dead things. Does anybody know what a scavenger, an example of a scavenger animal? Like a what? Deer mostly just eat live plants, although they will chew on bones in the wintertime. Yep.
Like a vulture?
Vulture, exactly, yeah. So that's kind of the most common thing that people think of when they think of scavengers. Do you have something too? Rats can also eat a lot of dead stuff. Eagles also are big scavengers. In freshwater though, in our like lakes and rivers, we have one really big scavenger. It's not big. We have one scavenger we have a lot of that eats dead plants and animals. And it kind of looks like a lobster, but it's not a lobster. Any ideas? Nope. Although fish is in the name. No, not maggots.
Oh.
Maggots do eat dead stuff though.
Oh.
Close.
Oh,
yes,
I know.
crayfish. Yeah, so crayfish are our big scavengers. You put dead food, plants or animals in front of a crayfish and it will just start eating it apart. So I need 2 crayfish. I need 2 scavengers that are going to bring food back to the sun. Like you. We'll pick you. Okay. So my 2 crayfish, what you guys are going to do is as the food's coming, minnows are going to be grabbing the food. But if you guys find any food blocks on the ground, you guys can just pick it up 1, 2, or 3 at a time, I don't care, and just keep bringing it back to the sun. So that way then the sons always have more food to throw in. You can't take it out of the minnow's hands, but if you find it on the ground, just pick it up and keep on bringing it back to the sons. Does that make sense? Sons, you guys know what you got to do. Okay, minnows, you guys know what you got to do, the ones at the ends. Okay, and crayfish, the ones at the S's, the scavengers, you guys know what you got to do. Okay, when I say go, everybody start grabbing food or throwing food or whatever your role happens to be. All right, you guys good? Okay, go ahead and get started. Beware the hula hoops. No, don't worry about that.
The whole puppy. It's all gone.
All right, freeze. All right, scavengers, you guys can go ahead and bring your food back to the sons. Minnows, those of you at the ends, how much food did you guys get? 7 other ends, what'd you guys get? 8 or something? All right, I just need an estimate, that's fine. You look like you also got 8 or something. 11. Okay, so we ended up between 7 and 11 food bits, which is good. You guys are doing good. If you guys are minnows, it's like the best of times. There's plenty of food to go around, and you guys are doing good. If you got more food, that means that as minnows, you guys can have more babies, and everybody, you got a big happy family. Everything's going well. But our lakes and our rivers aren't that simple and straightforward. There are things that like to eat those minnows that mean that your life is going to be a little more complicated. So what likes to eat minnows? Scavengers can if the minnow's dead. Northerns, what other large fish do we have?
Catfish.
Catfish, absolutely, big predators.
Walleye.
Walleye, yeah. So walleye is what I'm really thinking of, but a lot of things you guys were saying are also big predators of minnows. So I need 2 walleye. Who wants to be a walleye? Walleye. You can be a walleye. All right, so what the walleye are gonna do is the walleye have to, and let's move this. Yes, I'm sorry. My minnows, you guys can bring food back to the sons. And just be ready for the next round. So the walleye only like very certain types of habitat. And so if you're a walleye, you guys could stand up and you could stand in the hula hoops. Just one walleye per hula hoop. Who's the other walleye guy? You there. All right, you stand up and you stand in the hula hoop. All right, so 2 walleyes. You guys are going to be trying to eat the minnows. So what you can do is you can tag the minnows, and the minnows, those of you at the ends, if you guys get tagged, you have to drop your food. That's the end of your line. You got eaten, you're dead, you can go sit down. What's that? Doesn't matter for the crayfish. Walleye aren't going to eat the crayfish. They probably would, but they're not in this exercise. So, in this case, but you guys can't leave the hula hoops. You got to keep both feet inside the hula hoops. You can lean forward, but the minnows can swim all around you guys as you're trying to get food. All right? Is that clear for that part? All right. Also, somebody was fishing and they were using baby carp as bait. Carp are a big, gigantic fish, originally from Europe and Asia, and they grow really big and they stir up the bottom. And when they do that, all this sediment, all this dirt gets moved up into the water. Plants can't grow as well, so really bad invasive. Anyway, somebody dumped a whole bucket of them into the lake, and now they're starting to spread around. So who wants to be a carp? I need 4 to 5 carp.
I'll be a carp too.
Sorry, buddy. Carp, I need more carp.
He needs more volunteers. I love volunteers. You like yours?
All right, that should be good. Okay, carp, what you guys are gonna do is the same exact thing as the minnows, where you're gonna be running around trying to grab food, except for you guys have grown so big that walleye can't eat you. Walleye can't eat big carp. And so the carp are gonna be swimming around, grabbing food also. You still got the crayfish that are gonna be running around bringing food back. Both those things can't be tagged by the walleye. The minnows, you guys are gonna be swimming around grabbing food, but if you get tagged by the walleye, that is the end of the line. You guys all good? Anybody got any questions about their roles? Okay, in that case, then you guys can all stand up except for the sons. And then once you guys are ready, sons, you guys can go ahead and start throwing food in. Remember, walleyes, you're only taking the ends, and the minnows. All right, scavenger guy, you gotta move back. Give him a chance. All right, go ahead and go.
That doesn't work for me as a part of this matter. You have to take people that have this on them. Yep, the N, yep. Deborah's a carpenter. Oh, you got some.
All right, freeze!
Freeze.
Sons have run out of food, so we'll take that as a sign. Okay, so, my minnows. Did any of you die? Did any of you get tagged by a walleye? You did? You got eaten? Okay, so that's one dead minnow. For the minnows who are left, the 3 of you, how much food did you guys get? 3 other minnows. How much? You got? Oh wait, no, ends only. The minnows only. 5. 3. Who's my other minnow? Austin is good. 7. Okay, so we went from about 10 food bits to about 5 food bits this time around. All right, so that's half the amount of food for the minnows. How about the invasives? Those of you who are carp, how much did you guys get? You got 5?
Got a lot. Got like 8.
Okay, so we got 5, we got 8. How about the other invasives? What else did you guys get? Did you get any?
She did. She
Oh.
gave it.
Okay. All right, so think about that though. Okay, if you guys want to go ahead and bring your food back, and you guys can start taking your letter tags off, and I can take those back. Think about how much less food the minnows got this time around. Why is that happening? Because there's more fish. Because there's more of those carp around that are taking food from those minnows. Okay, so think about that. If enough time goes by, what's going to happen to all the minnows left in the system? Are they going to continue to survive in the lakes? Why? Because you could just set it right over there. Because yeah, there's not going to be any food. Because there's not going to be any food left for all these things. What about the walleye? What are the walleye going to do? What's going to happen to all the walleye in the lake?
They'll die.
Why?
Because there's no fish.
Yeah, there's no fish left to eat. So, carp come into the system, not only are they taking food away from the minnows, but they're also going to end up killing the walleye because they're going to take all the food for walleye's food, and there's nothing left to eat. So, that is what happens when you have invasive species moving into a lake or a river. It kind of changes how everybody interacts with each other, and some things end up dying in a very big way. So, what I want you guys to do is stand up, come on over here. All right, so look on here about how many fish species you guys see. Just give me an estimate. You don't have to count them all.
Oh, like 50?
Like 50? Yeah, sure. There's a bunch of different species here, right?
I guess it was 60.
What else do you guys see besides fish here? Frogs.
Gecko.
There's a salamander down there. Yeah, what's up top? What's above the water? Dragonflies. Yep, exactly.
Oh, yeah, there's a tree.
What about the color of the water?
Lizard.
Blue, yeah. All right, so say you start dumping carp into a system or an invasive plant or something like that. Let's see what happens here when that.
Oh.
Oh, wait, we'll keep it down at the bottom. That's all right. I appreciate your help.
Oh.
What color is the water turning?
Green.
Green. Yeah. Why is it turning green?
Because of carp.
Yeah. So you're not. There's so much sediment in the water, so much mud. Yep, dead fish. There's so much sediment in the water now that plants can't grow anymore because it's blocking all the light. So now you've got just like a bunch of mud in the water, a bunch of like algae. What's going on up top here?
Thank you.
Flies, mosquitoes. Yeah. Why are there mosquitoes? Thank you.
Because there's dead fish floating somewhere.
Because what was flying around in the air before the lick dragonflies? What do dragonflies like to eat? Yeah, mosquitoes. So dragonflies also need clean water. So as soon as that water doesn't get clean, you lose dragonflies, you get more mosquitoes. You see there's a lot fewer fish species here, just a couple, including goldfish. You got zebra mussels coming in. This is not a lake that you'd want to go swimming in, not a lake that you'd want to drink water from. And so this is what happens when you have invasive species coming. It changes the whole lake or the river. And pretty soon you lose everybody that used to live there, and now it's just a different kind of water body. So with that, you guys have time to do your journaling now, and I'll also take any like fish questions or fish comments that you guys might have. Where? In Minnesota? Or North Dakota? Interesting. Somebody probably, that's an invasive species here. Yep. You did? Nice. I love catfish. That's good too. Catch and release is important. Yep. Dogfish are my favorite. They're the coolest. They're just gigantic tanks. They are mean, they got giant teeth, they're super tough. But they're also really good parents. If you get near like baby dogfish, the parents won't attack you. It's pretty awesome. They're like tanks. It's awesome.
That's what my dad would do.
Yeah? Yeah, they're very strong. I used to have a job
So
where
right
I'd
now
put
we're writing down what
radio
we learned in the
transmitters in,
second
you cut them
page.
open, put a radio
Okay,
transmitter
let's see, would you write?
stitch them up, and then you could figure out how far they're moving. You go up